Welcome YouTube friends to another action figure review by Tychondrous, and today I'm happy to provide this review for the Super7 Ultimates Mars Attacks, The Invasion Begins Martian. Now, I picked this guy up at Big Bad Toy Store. They should be available at the time of this recording. Now, just before I proceed, I'll just say that I'm still getting over some sort of coldy flu sort of virus thing, so I'm still choking. So if you hear me coughing sporadically every so often, it is involuntary and it is kind of annoying. So without further ado, we'll have a quick look at the box. Now, it is interesting to note that he is slightly different to other releases from Super7, in the sense that previous Super7 figures, this guy just came with this box in a plastic wrapping, whereas the previous kind of Super7 Ultimates lines have had this window slip box style. So you have, like, this is the one for the Toxic Crusaders, Toxie Raider, so you can see that there, and you see it has that kind of slip, whereas these ones don't have that. Oop, there he goes. Now, I will say that the table here behind him is not part of his accessory set. I just have it there so I can put the extra hands up on top of it. But you are treated to this window style packaging. So you have all his hands, the figures here, his weapons are here, and then his, as I said, his hands are down one side, and I believe he has one extra hand. So he has, for the most part, he has duplicates of every extra hand, except, or every swappable hand, except for one. He has one of a specific one. But on the back of the box, it goes, "The invasion begins. The Martian leaders voted and decided that Mars would have to attack the Earth. Life on the fourth planet would not be able to continue much longer. Martian scientists had reported to their own government that atomic pressures had been building up beneath the surface of Mars for many years. A mammoth atomic explosion was weeks away, perhaps only days. The explosion would destroy all life on Mars, turning the planet into a barren wasteland. To protect the survival of their civilization, the Martian officials plotted the conquest of Earth. The fearless Martian warriors were prepared for their journey through space, confident that their weapons would soon conquer Earth." So, you know, these are, I believe these are based on the Topps, excuse me, the Topps trading cards, as well as the movie of the same name. I'm not sure which came first. I think I believe the Topps cards were something that were around before the movie, or they were made for the movie. I can't remember which, because they have that kind of classic 1950s style kind of creature feature sort of thing going for them, B-movie, which is essentially what Mars Attacks is. It's a homage to all those classic B-movie style movies from the early 1920s to 50s going on. So you have, like, the image on this is directly from the Topps cards, because the designs for the aliens or the Martians were quite different. You have all the, you know, classic flying saucers invading Earth style thing. Oh, and on the bottom of the box you just have the kind of legalese stuff, you know, small parts, choking, blah blah blah, all that usual stuff. So it is an Ultimates figure. Now, it is done in the scale, and I do have one next to me, so I don't go running off again and grabbing stuff. So these guys are in scale to the, or should be in scale to the other Ultimates. Here I have Red Jackal, the Destro San Diego Comic-Con version from one of the previous Comic-Cons. So you can see the Martian does scale quite nicely, because if you remember the movie, the Martians were fairly small. They weren't as tall as a human being. They were only around 4 foot, a little bit taller than 4 foot. So they do stack up quite nicely. If I bring in my tape measure. With his dome on, he does stand just around 6.5 inches, whereas the red jackal here does stand around the 7. So if you have NECA or McFarlane stuff, they will should scale to those as well. So I'm gonna try and dig something out, and hopefully it won't cause an avalanche of figures to fall down into the screen. There is Penguin from the DC Multiverse line. So you can see he does stand about the right size in comparison to the Martians. The Martians weren't that tall, with the only exception, I believe, in the movie being the Infiltrator Martian, which had a human disguise, which had it had a disguise to make it taller. But we'll move those aside for the moment. And we'll get back into the figure at hand. So we'll just move Red Jackal completely off screen there, and hopefully we have a look at the Martian. So we'll start with his accessories. He doesn't have that many accessories in the way of like a lot of kind of accessories. He does have 2 weapons, which we'll get into in a minute. So for his hands, he has these kind of outstretched, almost karate chop style hands. So you have left and right of those. In fact, I'm just going to turn on the light here. Give me extra bit of light on those. So the default hands he does come with are the 2 punching hands. So the hands he has in at the moment is one of his triggers and one of the grip hands. Is his right trigger and left grip hand, and I have their corresponding matches here. So here's the left, sorry, the right grip hand and left trigger hand. So you can arm him with his weapon as left-handed or right-handed, depending which way you want to do it. And then for the more unique hand, this is the only one he has. He doesn't have a corresponding right, so he has a pointing finger hand. So I think it's when they're pointing, going is when they have those. And for weaponry, if I can just get it out of his hand without it breaking, we shall have a look at his weapons momentarily. He does come with 2 weapons. Now I will say, I do like the pistol holster and the pistol. There is something to note when you do get them. He does have this little cable that plugs into the back of his pistol. Now when I got mine, it was plugged up in here, so I think that might be just the way it's done for storage. I would imagine now this could be a very fragile breaking point for the figure. So it is something to be wary of. The more you plug it in, plug it out, push it into the holster, etc., it may damage it over time. So as you can see, there is a plug on the bottom, and there isn't one on the bottom of the rifle. It's only for the pistol. I don't even remember them having that in the movie. I know they had the pistols. I don't remember them having the cabling going into it. It could be something that it was in the movie, but it is very nicely done. If it isn't a nice attention to detail that I overlooked. So you kind of plug it in and it just sits in the pocket or the holster. The holster is glued to the side of the legs, so just be wary of that. Too much friction might, or too much moving or manipulating might pop that off and break it. As I said, it is only glued, so just something to be wary of. These guys don't have any waist articulation, but we'll get into his articulation after we have a look at his rifle. So this is the rifle he comes with. It is interesting to note, I did notice that it has a feature that, again, I don't remember if it was in the movie, but it has a slider for the grip, which kind of makes it almost like a shotgun kind of type slider, pump action laser pistol. I can't remember if they had that in the movie again, because most of the time they're just running around screaming and blowing things up really quickly, so you kind of don't really see it. But the rifle is quite nicely done. The paint apps is nicely done. I don't have any bleeding of the silver over on. It looks like it's cast in this bluish navy blue plastic, and then it has the paint apps over it. The black is kind of airbrushed on for the areas that have the black, and then it's solid silver. So it is nicely done. On to the main guy himself. As you saw, he is around the 6.5 inch mark. He does have the oxygen, or not oxygen, the whatever they breed, nitrogen, I think it was, tanks on his back. He does have the dome on his head, which is a removable part. His head is on a ball joint. You can actually 360 it. It's very tight on mine, but you can 360 the head if you want. Just look at those googly eyes. They are awesome. And that head, he has like the wash over the head and kind of dry brushing for the brain part, which is cool. He does have, it's very tight on mine, but he does have an articulated jaw, so you can open his mouth as well. So, see if we can, it's probably better if his face, yeah, if his head is more neutral position, he can open the jaw a little wider. It's when you're turning the head, the jaw kind of rubs off these kind of bits on the side, so it does close the jaw. His arms can rotate around 360, can rotate out that much. There is a bicep swivel, it's just hidden in the folds of the suit. He does have single jointed elbows with a swivel. He does have a swivel in the wrist, and depending on which hand you have in, he has the lateral or bilateral, I think they're called, hinges. So for up and down hinges or side to side hinges. So you have that. He does have leg kicking action in the sword. As I said, he doesn't have the waist articulation. He does have thigh swivel, but it's very limited. So I suppose that's the makeup for the lack of waist articulation. The body piece is all one chunky piece. His backpack is pre-assembled and glued to him, so it could be possibly removable if you wanted to, but it would take some working to remove it. So he can kick forward. He does have a single jointed elbow knee. There is a slight give in it. It's a kind of weird design, because there is this excuse me, there's this little indent that goes into the back of the knee, but when the knee is straight, it can be rotated around. So I'm not quite sure what that is all about. It does kind of lock the knee into position when it's in a kneeling or kneeling position. He does have boot swivel at the top where the boot meets the suit. He does have those rocker ankles. So it is, you can see the paint is kind of peeling off a small bit on mine, but it is only a paint application, but the hinge underneath is the same color as the boot. So it's not that big a deal breaker, and he does have peg holes on the bottom of his feet. So he does have quite a lot of articulation. Again, he does hold his pistol. I would recommend taking the pistol off the cable before placing it in the hand, just so you don't overstretch the pistol cable. And I like to kind of swing it down around, put that into the gun. So he does have his, he can hold his pistol. You can actually have him dual wield. So we'll pop out his hand. Hands are easily enough to pop out and pop back in. I'll give him his left trigger finger. Now his grip is a little tight because I haven't actually used this yet. So I put that into his hand. Come on, get your little hands in. He does, there is a trigger on the weapon, so you have to get his finger around the trigger guard. And we'll pop his little dome in. The dome, there is a indent around the bottom of the head for the dome to sit on him. So it can go any which way you want. It just kind of has to click into that indent, and then you have him all ready to go with his dual pistols. Well, rifle and pistol. So he does look really, really cool. So, because I don't have any other Martian from the Mars Attacks line in this scale, the only other ones I have are also from Super7, which are their reaction figures. So you can see how similar he looks to the regular style Martian And I really hope, oh, there goes his accessory. Let me see if I can pick that up. Bear with me a second. His gun is very loose on his hand. I really hope we get one of these versions, because Super 7 are known for doing their wacky glow-in-the-dark stuff. This is their glow-in-the-dark reaction figure, and I really hope down the line we get a glow-in-the-dark version of one of these, because this guy, when he does glow, looks really, really cool the way they did him, especially the head with the eyes, and he has this kind of more unique, kind of off yellow pea colored dome, but it looks really, really cool. Not sure if I can get him to glow on screen. In fact, if I turn off some of my lights, it might be just enough darkness for him to give a little bit of a glow. Bear with me a second. Glow. No, he's not going to glow, unfortunately. Thought I might have been able to charge him up a bit, but unfortunately that is not the case. But if you do get these guys glowing, they do look really, really good. So I would love to see a version like this with the glow effect as well. Now, I don't know if they're planning to do any more figures than the Martians. There is 2 Martians. There is this version of the Martian. I did have pre-orders for both, but unfortunately due to budgetary reasons, I could only afford one, so I went with the plain version of the Martian. The other version of the Martian they have is, he's like, has the head blowout kind of effect. So his head is battle damaged, and I think the glass dome is also battle damaged, so there's cracks on the dome, or there's a big chunk missing of it, and his head is exploded, just like near the end scene of the movies. When the Martians are defeated, you kind of see them in various states of decay, so it's kind of like that. And I think, I'm not too sure, I'd have to check the images, but I think the suit is also damaged as well. I think I think one of the cables is hanging off the suit as well. It's kind of a little muddled because there is another company. It's not Nacelle Toys. I can't remember who it is. There's another company doing Mars Attacks figures. At least they had pre-orders for them on Big Bad Toy Store in 1/12 scale. So this is effectively is what, 110, which is the NECA scale kind of versions, whereas the 112 would be more in line with your Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series. So hopefully that company hasn't gone down the Swanee or down the toilet and those figures are no longer being made, because I would love to see those 1/12 scale figures as well. I know Mezco did a line of figures way back in the day, and I think they were in the 1/12 scale as well, but they are ridiculously overpriced to get nowadays. You see them, I think originally they were about the same price as these, about maybe $40 to $50. And when I buy these, I have to factor in the import and shipping costs, which really bumps these guys up, which is kind of annoying. But saying that, the old Mezco ones, there was 3 other companies that did Mars Attacks figures. The original company back in the day that did Mars Attacks figures were the Toy Biz ones, which were more 5 points of articulation, and they had sound gimmicks and stuff like that. I do have a Martian leader based on the Topps cards as opposed to the movie version, which is what these are kind of based on. And then the other company that did a series of Mars Attacks figures, again, ridiculously expensive to buy on the secondary market, was Hot Toys. They did 1/6 scale Martians. I've seen them pop up every now and again on eBay, and they go for 400 to 500 plus, which is insane. Even though some of them, the actual suits, the material the suits were made out of, have actually started deteriorating over time, similar to how their early versions of the aliens started deteriorating. So it's just not worth the money on it, I don't think. And then the other company, as I said, was Mezco. Mezco did a small wave of Martian figures as well. And again, unfortunately, because of the market, because they're such a niche line and they're very small runs, usually they go for a insane amount of money on the secondary market. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and I hope you struggle through me coughing and spluttering and practically dying while trying to do this. So thanks for taking the time to watch this. And as I said, I really love the Mars Attacks film. I'm a big Tim Burton movie fan, so I know a lot of people didn't like Mars Attacks because it's really weird and quirky. It's not like his usual stuff that he did. It's not the kind of dark. Well, it does have a dark sense of humor to it, but it's not the, you know, grim, darky kind of style that he's normally known for. But I always enjoyed Mars Attacks. I always thought it was quite a quirky and fun movie. Like, it was paying homage to those terrible B movies, and I think it did it right. So that's just my 2 cents. But there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching to the end, and thank you, and hope you have a great day. Cheers, guys.